Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tamar Meisels. I'm a Jewish wife and mother living in Israel. And today we are going to talk about 4 Jewish Orthodox responses to Zionism and in the later form of the State of Israel. We are going to answer a few questions like, is Israel the beginning of the final redemption? Are we in the midst of the final redemption? And how do we view the State of Israel? There may be a lot more opinions, but these are the 4 major opinions that we see in the Orthodox Jewish world. We are going to have 2 opinions from the ultra-Orthodox, also known as Haredi communities, and 2 opinions from the more modern religious. The first opinion is a minority opinion inside the ultra-Orthodox community. Maybe the media perhaps like to emphasize this opinion and talk about it more, and the Satmar Rebbe is one that really discusses his voice on this opinion, and of course there are a few other minority groups that agree with him. They think that the State of Israel and any association with it is forbidden. The State of Israel is actually an act of rebellion against God. And the reason they think this is based on a Jewish source that talks about 3 vows that the Jews vowed to do. One of them being that we are not, when we're in exile, till the Messiah comes, we are not to take any acts to bring forth the redemption. We're not allowed to come to Israel in organized group form. So basically we are supposed to wait for the Messiah and not do any active action to bring forth the end of the exile. They do not participate at all in the State of Israel. In fact, voting for the government is considered a sin. The next opinion is the classical opinion of the ultra-Orthodox Haredi community. The majority of them think this way. We are allowed to have a state, it's not forbidden, but because it's a secular state, one that tries to be like all other nations, and also the initiative of the people that started the state, the early Zionists and that founded the country, were not religious and a lot of times actually anti-religious. So they don't view the State of Israel as any holy thing. A rabbi I like to listen to, Rav Sherky, talks about how they're basically like a building committee. Like you have someone in the building, you need to run the apartment, you need to have a cleaner, you need to have a gardener. So they kind of view the State of Israel as sort of an apparatus to help them manage the state. So they do participate in the Israeli government and try to rescue what they can. They vote for all these religious votes. They try to add more funding to the yeshivot where they learn Torah, and for large families because they also have large families. So they kind of use it as a practical apparatus to help them get what they want. So basically the Haredim think that while we have a state, we are very much still in exile. And to summarize this opinion, a very big rabbi, Rav Shach, one of the biggest rabbis in the 20th century, summarizes it in the following way. The nation of Israel is still in exile till Messiah arrives. This is not redemption, not any start of redemption. They don't celebrate Independence Day, for example, and they really feel that we are very much still in exile. The next opinion is a religious Zionist opinion. Basically, this opinion is summarized by Rav Yosef Dov Soloveitchik, a very great 20th century rabbi and figure in the United States. Now basically they're very Zionist. They view the state in a very positive light. Practically speaking, living in Israel is a mitzvah and it's a good thing, and having the State of Israel is a great thing. It helps us, it provides us a safe haven for Jews all over the world, and many more reasons why the State of Israel is a great thing. And even if the State of Israel has flaws and isn't perfect and makes mistakes, we try to look at the good side. And when we ask someone in this group, how do you view the State of Israel? Is it the beginning of redemption? They kind of say, look, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is what it is. I see that it's a very good thing, and it's a very good thing, and I'm hoping that it is part of the redemption, but I'm not focused on that. I'm not sure, and I'm not going to focus on if it is or isn't. So basically, Rabbi Yosef Dov Soloveitchik and the Mizrahi movement view Israel in a very positive light. It's a great gift from above, but we prefer not to make any claims on any redemption because we're just not sure. Fourth opinion is another religious Zionist opinion. led by Rav Kook, who was a major figure in the early 20th century, and he passed away in 1935 before the State of Israel existed, but his son continued his tradition after the State of Israel was already born, and he looked at what was happening and the early Zionists that are coming, and he saw that they were laying the foundations for the State of Israel. Zionism, he said, isn't just some default or for some practical reasons, but it's really part of the redemption. And he, living before the State of Israel, called this Atchalta de Geula, the beginning, the early stages of the final redemption. Some of the signs that this is redemption is the nation returning to the land, and you see the land growing. It's growing trees and fruits after it's been desolate for so long, and we have an independent state, and these are all signs that we're in the early stage of redemption. His son, Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, even seeing the birth of the state and seeing the 6-day war where we were able to capture Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, and all the holy places to us, he actually said, we're not even in the beginning of redemption. This is actual redemption. We're in the midst of redemption. According to this opinion, we still haven't arrived at the final, full spiritual redemption. We still have to build the temple, and we still have to build the kingdom of David, and we have still yet way to go, but we are definitely in the midst of it all. An interesting opinion is the Chabad movement opinion. The 5th and 6th rabbis, seeing the Zionist movement, beginning to form, blatantly opposed Zionists and were anti-Zionist. Now, while the 7th and last Rebbe, also known as the Rebbe from Lubavitch, was very much opposed of Zionism, he said, unlike the 6th Rebbe who said we should fight Zionism, he said, no, we shouldn't fight Zionism. We need to love and to bring closer to Judaism. While he's still anti-Zionist, he very much loves Israel, loves the Zionists, loves Jews, and wants to bring them closer to Judaism wherever they are, including the State of Israel. They believe that, just like Rambam, Maimonides, talks about, in order for redemption to start, first the Messiah has to come, and then the other stages. They're also very, very practical. And now that the State of Israel does exist and is a haven for so many Jews living there, we have to defend it, and we have to make smart decisions. For example, giving away land to Arabs. He completely thought that this was a bad idea and it would bring about more violence towards Jews, so he thought that it was just not a good idea, and he was very much involved in the State of Israel and different decisions that they were making. So while he isn't a Zionist, he still had a very deep connection to the State of Israel and all the Zionist Jews living in it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. See you next time.